This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the HP Pavilion Gaming 15-inch. There's also a 17-inch model if you like it large. So what's kind of cool about this is it starts at $750, pretty well configured. That's with a Core i7-9750 H6-core CPU, NVIDIA GTX 1650 graphics, a full HD 60Hz display, 8 gigs of RAM, well, you can upgrade it yourself, and a 256 gig NVMe SSD. Not bad. We're going to look at a model that's pretty highly configured, and that's around $1,229 with an NVIDIA GTX 1660 Ti Max Q inside, 16 gigs of RAM, a 256 gig NVMe SSD, and a terabyte 7200 RPM drive. So that's not bad for what's called entry to mid-level gaming, obviously. 750's entry, I call this one mid-level. And the design language on it, the way it looks, isn't that bad either. This is called acid green, this little reflecty HP logo here, and it has a green keyboard. You can also get it for $10 more. Why you have to pay $10 for this, I don't know. You can get it in white instead if you want it to look a little more chill when you take it to the office or wherever else. We're going to look at it now. So this is model 15T. If you're familiar with HP products, T means Intel CPU. There actually is a Z version with AMD Ryzen 7 and an NVIDIA GTX 1650 inside if you're rooting for AMD Ryzen. Clearly it's influenced by the more expensive HP Omen line's design language in terms of the hinge, the bevel cuts on the corners, that sort of thing. It's not bad looking as a gaming laptop goes, and it's a plastic chassis, which you would expect in this price range. Competes with the Dell G5 and G7 and also the Lenovo Legion entry and mid-level model. It's relatively light at just under 5 pounds, and it's about 2.23 kilograms. And yeah, does the battery take a hit to get that light? Yeah, we'll talk about that a little later. It's not an uncommon tactic in the mid-range laptop scene right now to still drop weight by reducing the size of the battery a bit. The rest of the specs on this are pretty good. You have Intel Wi-Fi 6 is an AX200 card with Bluetooth 5 on board, a single color backlit keyboard, a Microsoft Precision trackpad that works really well. I like it. And it's easy to open it up and upgrade the internals, and we'll take you inside in a bit. It has stereo Bang & Olufsen speakers with HP's software to customize the audio input and output. Honestly, the speakers are not really loud. I was surprised at how quiet they are. So yeah, you're probably going to want to go for headphones to have a really good gaming audio experience, or multimedia. And obviously, like all gaming laptops, some of you are just buying this because you need more horsepower for something you're doing that's heavy lifting, be it computational stuff, some sort of modeling work. You get the idea. You know who you are if you're looking for something with more horsepower. Obviously, this can do that. Video editing. If you do go for something like video editing, you probably don't want the base display, which does not have very wide color gamut. It's a matte IPS 60 Hz Full HD display. It's not bad looking per se, and the numbers on it in terms of contrast are actually pretty good, for example, but yeah, the colors are a little bit on the muted side. If you spend $100 more, you can get the 144 Hz panel, and that one also is a bit brighter, around 300 or a little bit better nits versus our 276 nits, and has more of your standard 75% of Adobe RGB and full sRGB gamut. There is also, surprisingly, a 4K display option, non-touch, again, and anti-glare or matte, as HP says. I say surprisingly just because often they make you go with the higher end line, which in this case would be the Omen line, to go and get something like a 4K display. So that would be one to pick if you are doing 4K video editing. Since we have NVIDIA GTX GPUs, not the cutting-edge RTX GPUs, heat is a little bit better in control here than we see on a lot of today's gaming laptops with 6-core CPUs. When running benchmarks, it ran cooler than average throughout all of our benchmark tests, and we didn't see Cinebench dropping down all that much at thermal throttling in successive runs. But when you're gaming, it'll still get toasty. Those CPU core temperatures will hit there in the upper 90s, and we'll do some thermal throttling with the most demanding games that are out there. The noise on this, not bad. The fans are always on. That is actually a BIOS setting. You can change if you want, but honestly, at idle and light work, you're not really going to hear them. And when they're running full bore for gaming, they're not egregiously loud. In fact, you can still hear the meek speakers over the fans. Surface temperatures on this are quite good. It helps actually that it's some form of plastic, probably ABS, so it's not conductive metal that gets really hot, and it's not super duper thin either. So yeah, you could game on your lap, although be careful of blocking those vents, which is a no-no with gaming laptops when you're pushing them hard. The port story, well, it's usually pretty good for gaming laptops. So we have 3 USB-A ports. We have a USB-C Gen 2, which is interesting, but it's not Thunderbolt 3. In this price range, often you don't get Thunderbolt 3. It does support power delivery and DisplayPort, though, so you can use it for a monitor if you want. You also have HDMI 2.0, a headphone jack, and a full-size SD card slot on board. So it's decent. And Ethernet, gigabit Ethernet also. The keyboard on this, acid green and all. It feels a little soft to me. It's not horrible. It's not real crisp and springy. I might like a little more spring for actually, you know, when you have to do work and you're typing and all that sort of thing. But it's not terrible. This is not some RGB light show laptop because in this price range, you just don't get that sort of thing. The trackpad, like I said, I love Microsoft Precision. So battery, yes, it's a 52 watt-hour battery. That's pretty small. I mean, you can get a Dell XPS 13 with that much battery in it. So obviously battery life is not going to be great here. And, well, they do that, number one, so you have more room for things like a hard drive and also to reduce the weight, sadly. So at least it has NVIDIA Optimus switchable graphics. So when you're doing lightweight work and streaming video and all that sort of thing, use the Intel UHD 630 integrated graphics to save you some juice there. But battery life on this is between 4 and 5 hours unplugged for normal productivity use. It comes with a 200-watt charger, which has HP's usual kind of curvy chocolate bar style styling, and that's adequate to keep it charging while you're pushing it hard and doing something like gaming. To remove the bottom cover, just unscrew the Phillips head screws, long ones in the back, short ones in the front, pry with a guitar pick until you get it off. Here's what the underside looks like. We have shielding on the plastic bottom cover. And there's our internals, 52.5 watt-hour battery, pretty small capacity, that's why battery life is not stellar. Next to the battery over here, we have our M.2 NVMe SSD with a heat cover over it. Again, we have a fast Samsung drive in ours, so M.2, you can upgrade that if you want. And a 1 terabyte Seagate Barracuda 7200 RPM hard drive on this side. Beside that, we have the Intel Wi-Fi AX200 card, that's Wi-Fi 6, good on that. And in the center, we have our 2 RAM slots. We have a 16 gig, but they chose to ship it to us with 16 gigs as a single module, so we don't have dual channel, which means it would have benchmarked a bit better and done even better in games if we had had dual channel. The other RAM slot is here, so I would go with matching RAM always and your 2 slots so that you can have dual channel, but yeah. Fans right here, nothing much to say there. Metal casings on the fans, that's nice to see in a so-called budget laptop. Our shared heat pipes right here. We have one little independent small heat pipe going over here, and it's a pretty large heat sink area. It's pretty decent for a machine of this class. So that's the HP Pavilion Gaming 15T, the 2019 into 2020 model with Intel 9th Gen CPUs and NVIDIA GTX graphics. By the way, if you go for that 1660 Ti Max-Q, it does support ray tracing. You're not going to get ray tracing like you do on an RTX series card, that level of performance, as you can see from the ray tracing benchmark and 3D Mark, but it's better than nothing. So yeah, the starting price on this is $750. You get a lot for your money, and it's very upgradable if you want to do it yourself after the fact as well. So that's really the selling point in this laptop, I'd say. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and do hit that notification bell.